Hi, and welcome to all listeners, and welcome to the Resilient Voices podcast in leadership and life. This is a space for honest conversation about how resilience shows up in leadership, personal moments, and everyday life. In this podcast, you hear stories of grit, growth, and practical steps you can take. I am Jessica Schultz, and on each episode, we invite guests to share a chapter from their journey, the moments that tested them, the turning points that redirected their paths, and the practices that kept them moving forward. And for those of you who follow the podcast for a while, you know that there's been a slight change when you listen to this. This is still a space for honest, deep conversations. But what has changed is that now we include like leadership as a topic as well. And everyone is welcome to share their story, not only women. And today's guest is Angelica Björklund. She is an ICF certified business coach with more than 15 years of experience in organizational development. She helps high-performing leaders and executives to quiet the noise, to find clarity and make confident decisions with self-impact and direction. So with that introduction, I just want to say welcome, Angelica.
Thank you very much for that introduction. It is always so interesting and spectacular to hear someone else talk about yourself and tell the world about what you're doing. To be on a podcast and be a guest here is big for me. I really like the fact that I'm here today and get the possibility to talk to you and your listeners.
Yeah, me too, Angelica. Yeah, it is interesting this with getting introduced by someone else and listen to that. It's normally we introduce ourselves, and so I hope that made sense for you in how I described. I mean, a little part of your professional path, obviously, because you're so much more than just a coach and just you do a lot more, and you are a lot more than that, obviously. And I know that today you're actually on the other side of the globe compared to where I am. I think we're actually on the opposite. If we go from Lisbon down, I think we do end up coming out somewhere in Lisbon, no, in Sydney area, right?
Yeah, I am from Sweden, but right now I am down under in Sydney, Australia, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I have found the country I want to live in. I will not move to Sydney. I will be more countryside, but it's very interesting to see these big cities. I have been up in Newcastle for a week, seen so many beautiful beaches. I mean, to my fourth week now, I think, and
Mm-hmm.
I have lost count on how many different beaches that I've been on. But the previous week, I started every day going to a beach and watch the sunset. And sunrise. And it is so beautiful, so therapeutic to hear the waves just coming in and just the calmness to just be in now. It has been
Yeah,
amazing. This is
yeah.
a lifestyle you could get used to.
I really do know what you say. In living here in Portugal as well, it is the beaches, the amount of beaches, the ocean, and the sunsets or the sunrises. It's just to die for. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about, as we do on this podcast, we're going to talk about resilience or a change in some way that sort of made you stronger, made you grow as a person or whatever that may be. So, but I would like to start with you, and if you can just share little bit about yourself and put yourself in the context and what was happening in your life at that time. We're doing like diving into a certain specific time in your life.
Yeah, the thing I want to talk about today, we will go back around 8 or 9 years. I had been in the company that I worked in then for almost 10 years, and I have been working in every different role that I could do when I started in this retail business. And I found finally got the role that I wanted to have. I got the possibility to go in fully to develop new leaders and go into organizations that wasn't working that well and to be able to help them and make that grow. Before that, I was a store manager for many years.
Mm-hmm.
I had realized that when I was in a store and did everything worked out, but I had the results. I had one of the best stores in our district. I had the best store in our district, and I won one of the 10 best in the country. But I felt stuck because when everything works, what am I supposed to do then? I want to
Mm-hmm.
solve problems. And now I got the opportunity to do that. But I also had something in mind that I wanted to be a district leader.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be the leader for other leaders.
Yeah.
And I had heard that I tried to get that role before, but I didn't
Mm-hmm.
get it because I didn't have the experience enough. But now they created a new role for me. And I would say that that was the best part for me in that time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the thing that we were supposed to talk about today, it is when it opened up a vacancy for the role that I truly wanted. Or if I
Mm-hmm.
look back now, the role that I thought that I truly wanted.
Yeah, there's a twist there, of course. Yeah.
Yes,
Just
it
just being a
is.
bit curious, when you say about store, what type of products are we talking about here?
We sold beds and everything to your home.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Our beds, furnitures,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Okay.
all of it. And yeah, when we come to
So this
that,
perfect role initially, it was the perfect.
the perfect role that I had got was to become a retail store supporter. So instead of
Mm-hmm.
working in just one store, I was working directly under the regional manager, and
Mm-hmm.
I had 4 different districts to help to grow. So my role was when they had a new store manager, I was helping them to get into the introduction in that store that they were working in. I went there and that's where I come in to coaching and become a mentor. And the women saw the beauty in helping others find their true leadership. So that was something that I really liked. But I also, why it was so perfect for me was because when I came to a store, I have had every role. So I got a respect from not just the boss that I came there, the leader that I came to help, because I had done the job that their employer, their staff also had done, which meant that when you come in new in a company, it can be easy to hear from everyone that you're working with that this never works, and we don't have the resources to fix this, we can't do this, everything is wrong. And then I could come in and say that if you just follow the routines that the organization actually has, it will work. But I could also see when people said that this doesn't work, and someone else just came in and said, just do what you were told. And I can see, but now it is something here that isn't working because you need to change the organization, you need to change the scheduling because we need to have the more
Mm-hmm.
staff,
Mm-hmm.
not just when you have a lot of customers in, because you need to have people in the start of the day to be able to have the store ready for opening. So when you have the experience to be there, it was easier for me to come from the outside and see that with a new perspective and see what is it that we actually need to change here. It is
So you
always
got
good
the
to,
trust of the people since you had that long experience doing that job yourself. So you knew what it had been like to walk in those shoes, being in that store. Maybe not the exact store, but so yeah, obviously that was easier for you. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So when I've also been a leadership instructor before that, I
Mm-hmm.
saw the people in so many different time of their experience in the organizations
Mm-hmm.
too. So I saw them in different venues, not just in their store. I saw them when we were on the headquarters, had our lessons also. But when we had those introductions, I came to them each week. We had like a coaching session or also the mentoring part because I was the
Mm.
one with the most experience.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
worked a lot with coaching, also with reflecting feedback because we wanted our
Mm.
new leaders and our staff to find their own solutions to things because it's something. But if it comes from you, it is easier to actually continue to work with it later
Yeah.
instead of just doing what someone else tell you to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I guess that's the difference between consulting and coaching or mentoring, is that you really sort of use a different method that long term works a lot better.
Yes,
Yeah.
but the shift came later. I thought this work was real fun, and I also got to work with a great team. I had fantastic colleagues. We became both good friends,
Mm-hmm.
and we had good connections on our meetings, and all the conversations we had after work, or the fact that I now had a role that I also could work a bit from home. So when I had administration days, but you never felt alone, because
Mm,
even if
mm,
I was living in Roslagen and my colleague was in Norrköping, we could just talk to each other. So that felt you still had that community, that we did things together. And that was nice, because I have seen the
mm,
difference when people have someone to lean on and when
mm,
you feel totally
mm,
alone. Because
mm,
that's something when I was a store manager too, how important it was to not just get stuck in your own corner where you
mm,
were working, because we tried to get that community with our other
mm,
store managers in the
mm,
same district,
mm.
because it can be lonely to be a leader.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is better sometimes to be able to lean on other people in the same role, or instead of being the one that always need to talk to their own staff,
Mm,
because you don't want to take all the problems with you in your
mm,
own
mm,
organization, and they
mm.
don't really know all the problems that you can meet,
Yeah.
if you understand what I mean.
Mm. So at this stage, your job was still like the perfect job. You enjoyed it,
Yeah.
but were there any sort of pressures present? Was there like stressful periods, or did you just sort of it was
In
just
this
nice and
case, I still thought that everything was just fun,
mm,
because I had previous worked and from different roles, as because when you have vacancies in your own
mm,
organizations, you go in and you solve that too. So now I felt like now I only get to do all the fun parts. That's what my feeling when I had this role. But I also had the conversations with my mentor about the fact that I wanted a different role, because that was my goal before. And just because you had heard that you will not get it, then I wanted to prove that I can do this. And
okay,
the
yeah,
mentor that I had was a very strong leadership woman, and it was someone that I respected a lot. She inspired me a lot, and we also became great and good friends. And when we got a vacancy in our district region, she got the question to take care of that district too, because she was a district manager. So she was now going to take care of both of them. And then she came with the idea that I know that you want to have this role. So now I will help you to prove that you can do this. And I
mm.
thought that was an amazing idea.
There was a sugar coated opportunity. I don't know
Yeah,
if you but for me,
yes,
that's when you're actually getting someone to do something by giving them just the icing on the cake, just a glimmer and everything. It looks enticing. It feels so nice. And
exactly.
I understand this is where things start to change.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is so interesting, because I have looked back and thought about this moment in my life so many times. But before we started this podcast today, I have thought about what is it that I would like to talk about? What shift was it? And I thought I knew exactly what the shift was. But when I started to actually go through all of this, I realized that it is much bigger than I have thought about it before. Because me going in and proving myself and proving my worth, it was not good for me, because I didn't prove that I could do this job. I already knew that I could, But what I did was that I went in and did her work too, when I also did my own work.
So you were working for two people, and you got salary for one.
I was working for two roles. I got salaries for one. My mentor, she's got salaries for two, and I also gave her bonuses because the results that I created with the team that I was working with gave the district manager a lot of bonus. And
Wow.
this she couldn't share with me because this was stuck to her salary. And I just said there, yeah, but I learned so much. I am so grateful for the opportunity to show and prove myself.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Angelica, I'm laughing.
Mm,
It's
it
just,
is okay.
it's not, I don't mean anything bad about it, but I can just hear how at that time, how that was a perfect setup for you in your mind, and especially for your mentor. That was great, wasn't it?
Yeah, amazing. And the interesting thing is that I have always seen when I've been working with people that I'm good at seeing other people's potential. And I have always thought it was wonderful to be able to lift people. And that's what I thought that she did for me. But there was something a little bit more selfish in her way of doing it than in my way that I have done it before, and how I have continued to do it later too. Because it ended up with me not getting this role, or it ended up with me having a conversation with my actual boss that I said, why now when I have shown that I can do this, that I have proven
Mm,
that I can do this.
mm.
And his answer to me is that I know that you can do this, but it isn't up to me. And then I said, but I know that it is you that have the last pick, even if it is your boss that have interviews with us too. I know how the process works because I have been there. I
Yeah,
have been there
yeah,
before.
yeah.
So when you stand there with two candidates, and if it was up to you, would you pick me or would you pick the other one? And he becomes quiet. And I look at him and he says, I will pick the other one. And I just felt like, then it doesn't matter what I do. I can work day and night, but it doesn't matter because you will always stand in my way. And then he'd respond that, but I want to have you and I already have you. So if I take in someone else for that role, I have you both. That's convenient for you.
Yeah. So he didn't really think about at this stage that if it doesn't work for you, maybe he will lose you completely. He just felt like this was the best for him. You had
Yeah.
the qualifications, the skill set, everything required to do the role, but he wanted you in the other role that you were also really good at, as I understand it, and also enjoy, but that was not what you were aiming for.
Yeah. And then he started to explain it's like, I don't want to hide you in a district down there in the country. I would like to have you here around Stockholm where you can improve and you can help both your colleagues, those district managers that we have here, because we have a lot of problems. So here you can get results in much bigger results. And I said, but then it doesn't matter what I want to do, because now it's more important what I can do for you. And he said, yeah, a little bit, but it doesn't feel so nice when you say it like that. But no, how do you think it sounds in my ears when I
Mm,
tell you that this is what I want to do? And you tell me it doesn't matter what you want to do because I want you in the role that you are, because there you help me the most. So then I said, yeah, I hear what you say, and then I don't want to do anything else than my role. Don't give me anything extra to do, because then I have the salary that I have. I do not have any possibilities to get bonuses. So then I don't need to do any extra work. then I will go back to doing what I'm just supposed to do, because I have never tried to do
Yeah.
only that.
Yeah.
Because then
Yeah.
I think I could be able to create a better
Mm.
work-life balance.
Mm. Yeah, because you must have worked a lot, did you?
I worked a lot. I was living at Väta. It is around, what is it, 100 kilometers until Stockholm or something like that,
Is
of
that an
45
island,
minutes an hour.
or is it
Uh,
just?
it is an
Yeah.
island, but we have a
Mm.
bridge, but it is
Yeah.
outside Norrtälje. So my closest store that I was working with was 1 hour away, but we
Mm.
had a region the whole way down to Östergötland, Södermanland. So I had a lot of
So
hours.
covered a large part of the middle of Sweden.
Yes, yes. So it was many hours in car. It
Mm.
was many nights at hotels. And when you're out working and you start your day early, you leave work, leave home around 5 or 6 in the morning because you have your first meeting in 7 maybe. And then
Mm.
when you're down in Norrköping or something like that, I have a meeting there. Then I went around and said hello in all the stores around there too, when
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
out driving. And then when you come to the hotel, you realize that, yes, I started my working day around 6, because then you start to have conversation with your colleagues because you're not
Mm.
alone when you're out
Mm.
driving.
Mm.
I have colleagues that are out driving too. But yeah, my first meeting started at 7, and then I go around through stores, so I might be back to the hotel at 6. But what do you do when you come to the hotel? You don't lay on bed and watch Netflix. You open the computer and you do
Yeah.
administration work,
Yeah.
and you work a couple more hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is both positive and negative to be able to work from home, if you say it like that.
Yeah, because that's the just thank you for sharing that, because I think that's very interesting. I For a short period of in my professional life, I was doing a similar job. I was traveling a lot, and I heard from friends, and it's like, oh wow, it's so nice to stay at hotels. And it's like, the hotel breakfast and everything. And yeah, but you don't have a life. You go to a city where you don't have any friends. Maybe you go out and have dinner with a colleague, but most of the times, I don't know. I did it anyway. I ate alone, or got the room service while I was working. So, or brought a computer to the restaurant to work while I was eating. And it's like, what kind of life is that? It's not so glamorous as it may sound.
Yeah, especially when you think that hotel breakfast would be the best part, because I like hotel breakfasts, but I always left before it opened because it's
Oh
better to
no.
go away early,
Yeah, yeah.
and you realize how bad your food habits becomes. Because the best part was when I planned to eat lunch
Yeah,
with
yeah.
a leader that I met. But many times it was then I could go sit in the car and just to go to the next one, because then I could take an extra meeting or something. So I
Mm.
don't know how many times that you forget about breakfast because it was too early. You just drank a Red Bull or something, and then you come to a store and you went in there, took a cup of tea, and then just did what you were supposed to do. And they asked, would you come to lunch? It's better that I go straight away because then I have the next meeting an hour from here. And then it was too late to eat lunch because then I can just take an extra meeting in between. And then you're on your way home, and then you realize that, what have I eaten today? Well, I think I'm into my fourth Red Bull, and I might have eaten like a sandwich or a Snickers bar or something. So it
So
wasn't the
not,
most healthy way of my
no.
life, I can say.
So
And uh, no, so
so
that
this was
was
a
interesting.
tough time because you started to doubt what happened. Because when your boss said that we're not going to do this for you, we want you here, and this is what we want you to do, and you start to realize, oh my God, I don't have a life. I work a lot. I don't really. So that something happened. You started to doubt yourself, or how did it affect you at that stage, your whole situation?
The biggest thing that I realized at this time was that I had worked so much and been away so much because I was happy to do the work that I had now because this was what I wanted to do.
Mm, mm,
But I didn't spend any time with my son anymore. At 2017, he was soon to be 8, I think. And yeah, I met him when I came home, but I live on a farm where both my parents live in the house beside me. I have them as neighbors. And because I left early in the morning, I had the privilege that they could drive him to school. But it also ended up with them picking him up from school. And because they drove him, it was easier for him to be up at their house, because then I didn't need to wake him up or wake them up to go and switch houses, because when you are 8, you're not supposed to be home alone in that capacity. And then I started to realize that when I was home, he said that I can go up to my grandparents because you will probably not be home anyway. Or when I was home, I got a call from one of my colleagues, and I spoke with them for hours and just walked around with my phone instead of spending time with him when I was actually home. So instead of doing something about that, I just felt bad being home. So then I left. Then I said, when he said that I can go up and sleep at my grandparents' house, then I just set myself in the car and drove away, because then I said, I don't need to start my day from home. Then I can go to a friend or check into a hotel or sleep at a colleague's place, because then I spent time with them and talked even more work, and then went to the meetings that I had planned.
Yeah.
So because I felt that I wasn't a good mom anymore, and that felt bad. So it was easier to then do the things that I knew I was good at, and I was good at my job. So when I did that, I saw results, and I could say that it is worth it because
Yeah.
I do something good for someone else.
Mm.
But I also think that the shift came in that department when I was saying that I'm not supposed to do someone else's job now. I'm just supposed to go into the role that I actually got when I got my first promotion.
Yeah.
But then my colleague decided to leave the company. And that was hard because we were very close, and she had that role that I before wanted to have. And when she tells me that she is going to leave, we start to talk about, I think that I now will get that conversation or that call from my boss when he asks me to help him take her work when they are looking for someone else for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And we were joking a little bit about it. And I said, no, but he can't do that. It was just a month or two since we talked about the fact that when he had told me, you will never get it. So I will focus on what I do. So it was both that I think it will happen, but I know he won't do that to me. Who does he think I am? Does he really think that I would do this again? And the call comes.
Of course.
And he didn't even think about it, because in that conversation, he actually said to me, I know that you are so good at this. So can you please help me to take this until I find someone else? And I think a lot of my respect for him disappeared. A bit of respect for myself. First, when I felt like, I need to do this because I don't want this district to stand without a leader.
Yeah.
Because I like the people that I've been working with there. I said, but I need to think about myself. So I just asked him, do you remember what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago? And he said, yeah, but now this happened. But yeah, and you tell me that now I'm enough. Now I can do this because now you need me here. But you truly want me to go into the district because now we are up in Stockholm. Because before you told me that you didn't want to stick me down in the country where I was hiding in the woods or something, like you said. Now you have an opportunity to give me a role in the district that you want me to help. But yeah, but it isn't up to me. But it is still up to you, because now we're here again, you asking me to do this. And I said, no, you can find someone else. Because I know that you don't think I'm good enough, or you tell me that your boss doesn't think I'm good enough, but then you want me to teach this person to do the job that I want to have, that you are the one telling me that you will never get. So then I started to wonder, what am I going to do now?
Yeah, because that just sounded like a situation where you just realized that this is just not a good place to be.
Yeah, and it was hard because I had been in that company for so many years,
Mm,
and I had my full work-life experience in here. I had learned so much. I had so
yeah,
many
yeah.
friends in this company, but started to think even more about what is it that I'm supposed to do. We went down to the headquarters for a yearly meeting where
Mm,
I mean all the higher
mm,
leaders were.
mm.
Our head of retail comes into our meeting and says that, yeah, there is someone that have left, and it have become a big thing with the meeting when she had her exit interview. A lot of information have come up. Sometimes it's just good that some people leave the company. And then I also start to wonder, just because she was honest about the situation she had, and she told the
Mm.
HR about the situation and how it was, then they were happy that she left. Then
So
I
they
went
they
up.
don't really want to use the exit interviews, the information to anything if it's not what they want to. So it's just really,
Exactly, exactly. So I went out on that lunch break and spoke with one of my colleagues, and I said, I think I've made a decision that I am going to leave. Because if this is how they talk about one of the best colleagues that I have had, and they now try to paint her as the problem instead of someone that
yeah,
actually
yeah.
spoke up before she hit a wall and left because she didn't want to lose the relationship with her family just because she
Mm,
chose work instead. Because it was so easy to get I mean, a thank you, and you didn't really get a thank you. But when you sat there on the hotel room with your computer, instead of having someone that told you that you are hired to work 40-hour weeks, and if you can't do the job in 40 hours, then we need to look at why is that, and what is it in our
mm,
structure
mm.
that doesn't work?
Yeah,
Because some of us made it happen. We just solved everything because we were the personalities that actually, if we got something to do, we did it until deadline,
yeah,
even if
yeah,
we worked a lot to do it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
nothing happened for the people that actually didn't do all the works. And that was the people that now, when I look back, they were smarter than me
Mm. Yeah,
because they still got paid the
yeah,
same, even if they didn't do everything that we did. But
yeah,
we went
yeah,
in and did their work too.
yeah. Yeah, that's. I'm just curious. So, did you have any support systems in this time? Did you have a coach? Did you go to like? Did you use any tools, or did you have all the resources yourself to sort of start to question and start to? Or did you discuss that? Actually, now you discussed that you brought it up with a colleague, but
Mm.
the process, did you do that by yourself, or how did you manage?
We were three people also that worked very close to each other,
Mm, mm,
and we had a lot of the common experiences. So we talked a lot through this. But I love to read self-help books because one of the reasons why I wasn't able to get the job that I truly wanted from the start was because I had the wrong profile when you did a disc.
okay.
Because when you started to work more with them, instead of saying that this is the person that I have in front of me and this is how I need to help them or talk to them to make them the best version of themselves, you decided that this is right and this is wrong. And you
Mm,
started to hire like that. And then you realized in the end that that wasn't that good because in an organization you need
mm,
different type of people because you
yeah,
can't have
yeah,
the people that only talk, that never get everything done. And
yeah,
they're good at starting things, but
yeah,
they never finish. So you need to have all the types, the personality types, and to work with
yeah.
each other.
Yeah. So then you were aware of your own DISC profiles. You could see where this was not working properly for you or for the company.
Exactly. But now I took a conversation with my boss and
Mm,
said, I have decided that it is time for me to leave.
mm,
And he said, I don't accept that. I said, this is not up to you. I can't stay anymore because every other time that I have said that I want to do something else or
yeah,
I think it's time for me to leave, I got a new opportunity to do something else in the
yeah,
company so
yeah,
that
yeah,
I talked
yeah,
myself into staying. But I
yeah.
said, I don't know what we need to do now to
Mm-hmm.
make a change. We walk back into the meeting, but he doesn't come in. 15 minutes later, the head of retail come and pick me up and said, I need to talk to you. And we have a conversation about he didn't want me to leave. I was too valuable and started to say, what can I do for you to make you stay? We need people like you in the company. And I said, yeah, that's very nice to hear. But you just say that because I have said that I want to leave. Because where were those opportunities when I wanted to stay? When you just wanted to have me where I already was because that was what was convenient for you. I said, you need to think about this. We can't just let you go. We had crisis meetings. We sat down. We actually had a meeting in our region where our head of retail comes and put us all in a circle sitting on a stool and put our boss or leader in the middle. And we are supposed to give him feedback and say everything that we think that he does wrong. I said, yeah, but this is not how this will become better. This is just throwing shit at each other. And then it comes up the fact that when you say you are not a tree, you can leave if you're not happy. And I just said, that was what I tried to do. And now
Yeah.
I'm sitting here. And I just went out from that meeting later and said, no, I stick with the fact that I'm
Mm,
done.
mm,
And then I started to see that my feelings for this company, I loved what I have done there. I loved the things, the
yeah,
colleagues that I had,
yeah, yeah,
everything I learned. But I realized that when you have been very long in a company, it becomes like a relationship.
yeah.
And I told one of the bosses that I had earlier, as the best one I have ever had, that I think this is like when you have a relationship with another person and you start to feel that this isn't working anymore. But then you decide to continue anyway. The problem is that every time something bad happens, you fall back on that first feeling that felt that we should have left
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah,
But when you're supposed to leave, then you start to look back at everything that was good and how and what should I do when
yeah,
I leave?
yeah.
And I got so many different, they wanted to create new roles for me because they really
Mm,
didn't want me to leave. And
mm.
I had, I think, 80 vacation days that I hadn't used.
Wow.
So I said that instead of getting that out as a paid when I left in November and I had vacation until last of March the year
Mm,
after. And during that time, I had messengers each week that, how are you? Would you like to come back? Should we have a meeting? So it felt good because I really felt like they wanted me to come back. But I just felt that it is time for me to leave
yeah.
because I like the company, I like the values, but right now they were not living the values.
No. And I think it's interesting how you say this about compared to relationship because with my background in human resources in HR, that's what I normally say to I mean when quite often I use that as a metaphor is that it's like sometimes when you're in a marriage because I think it is more of like a really committed relationship when you stay longer, sometimes you come to this point where you need to leave. And if you're in a toxic relationship, which I really feel like they've been using you as, even though you did enjoy it, you had it, you developed and everything, it was was not unconditional. It was really conditional. So on my terms, so what I feel. And then when you start to say, now I want to leave, I want to go, they just used that sweetener that they normally do. It's like, well, you're so good, and that may be true, but and I'm sure it was, but it was, they wanted to achieve something with that, not just to let you know that you're good at what you're doing. So this is a very dysfunctional type of leadership, very dysfunctional and toxic, if you ask me, from where I'm sitting, what I'm hearing. Would you agree with
Yeah,
that?
yeah, exactly. And that's was the things that I really realized, because if you can't give someone the opportunities when they are there, but when they say that I want to leave, then you get everything. It is
Yeah,
toxic,
yeah,
because where were those opportunities when
yeah,
I said that I
yeah,
wanted to do something else?
yeah,
Because I
yeah.
said that I feel stuck. I have always said that I want to develop. And during those
Mm,
13
mm,
years I was in this company, I always had a new role in mind because I
yeah,
wanted to work against
yeah,
it. And now it felt like I was stuck. It felt like it doesn't matter what I do. I will be in the role that I have now. And I also think that sometimes, even if I didn't have something new to start with straight after that, I needed to leave anyway to be able to find myself in what I actually wanted to do.
yeah,
I told myself then that I will never let work become my life again. But you can say that to yourself many times. But I can say that isn't that easy to actually make that change. And I can say that's a different story. That took 7 more years before I
yeah,
started to actually do what I wanted. But that's a story for another time. But I think the biggest realization of this is when you do something because someone else wants you
yeah,
to prove something. Because
yeah,
that's the thing that I look back at when I see that I would have been happy to be in the role that I had if no one had told me it's time for you to prove. Because when they said that I
mm,
got the possibility to prove this, then I saw that as a competition. I saw that as a performance that I could do. So I lost my own voice by doing something because someone else said that I believe in you.
yeah. Yeah, and that's a really good. I mean, it's also, I think, when it's when you got such full days, when life is so full, when you're constantly on the go, there is no time to actually think. It's like, do I want this? There's no room for reflection. So then you're like, and then if I give you the answer, because then you say, okay, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is good for me. If you say so, because I mean, really, we are quite lazy. I mean, human beings. I mean, because that's how we survive. So if we get something served, like without question, without thinking about it, we will just continue doing it because it's the easy way out. And I think that's how it is as well. When you start to get, like, when you're about to go and do something else and you start to get resistance, that if you've got someone in the back, they're saying that, oh, but stay here. It's really good here. It's so tempting because it's within the comfort zone. You don't have to step outside of there and not knowing what's going to happen next. But you did step outside. So when you did cut that cord, when you did step outside, what was the first? Can you remember the feeling when you actually followed through with what you were feeling? Did you feel like scared, relief? Yeah, just really take us into that one.
Felt pride. I was proud of myself that I actually did this for me. Because even if they tried to win me back,
Mm-hmm,
I stood my ground because I saw the pattern that I've been following during those years.
mm-hmm,
Because this
mm-hmm,
wasn't the first time I went in and did so much more than I was hired for. Because I always got that you need to prove this, you need to prove this, you need to do this. And I just went in because I saw the opportunity to learn. And I can look back at that and see that I am so happy for everything that I've been through. All of the things that I have learned and all the both bad and good leadership that I've seen, because that have created the person that I am today. But when I look back, I can also see how and where I chose to let go of everything that made me happy. because work became my persona. The performance at work was my identity.
Yeah. And when it becomes an identity, you got then it's not just a saying that this is no longer me. Now I choose to be a person that do not work a lot, or it's like you said, then it took you 7 years to actually change that approach.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your
Yes,
identity, it's just so deep within you,
it
isn't it?
is. When we had that conversation, when we talked about that you're not a tree. If you don't like it, you can move. That was also when I realized that I also saw when I made work my identity, because I have been a Christian my whole life, but I have always seen myself as a show jumper. I was out competing a lot when I was younger. And then I had a couple of years where it was a lot of injuries on different horses. And then I had a lot of youngsters in my stable. And at that time, I got the opportunity to get a new work and a new job. So the horses didn't take as much time anymore, and I didn't have the possibility to set
Mm,
goals and actually perform there.
mm,
So I took all the time and energy that I had put in horses before and put that too into work, because now I had somewhere else that I was able to perform. So the performance identity have been there before, but this made me a workaholic instead.
yeah, yeah. And that has a very big price on your relationship with your son, and but yeah, that's a tough one, isn't it?
Yes.
But when we look back, so what lessons or insights do you want to share about this difficult, like the leadership moments, or the way you were being led or being misled, or where you want to, what's your lessons in it?
And the importance of actually asking yourself, what do you want? How do you want your life to look? What do you have to, what goals do you have? And how would that feel to reach them? Because sometimes it's easy to say that I want to have that role or I want that in life, but what does it really mean? Because that's the thing, that in the work that I do today, I work with a lot of high performers, and I don't want to tell them that you need to leave your work to be able to find a balance. I want them to have the pride in creating performance, but still have that life outside work. I don't want to. So I think it is so important when you set up goals to see why do you want to reach them, because it is the journey that is the dream that you're supposed to build.
Yeah, yeah,
Otherwise, it's so easy that you never become happy, because when you have a goal, when you put that up, you always just push that
yeah,
forward because you can
yeah,
always
yeah,
do a little bit more.
yeah.
So it's very important to ask yourself that, do I do this for me or do I do this for someone else?
Also, yeah, sorry, I was just going to say that one addition to that, you probably want use that as well. Also, if I do this for me, how would that affect the people in my life that I love as well? I think that if you got like family and children around you, maybe that's an addition to that, or
Yeah, because I want, when you look back at it, I am very happy for my parents, the relationship that they have, my son and all of it. But I want to have that too.
yeah,
I want to be
yeah,
someone that my son can look up. And that's also something that I've seen in the leadership roles, when I'm very good at, when you are very good at telling the people around you, I mean, to be home with their kid when they're sick, to go home when you're not feeling well, because it's better for the workplace that you
yeah,
get your
yeah,
rest and can come
yeah,
back.
yeah,
But when you don't implement that for yourself,
yeah. I mean, so you really say you're talking about authentic leadership. It's not about telling others what to do, but you also need to lead by example and actually do it
yes,
yourself.
yes.
That's how you really lead with your heart, and lead authentically with when you're aligned with what you say and do.
Yeah.
So now
And
you
one more
sorry,
thing I would say is that almost every organization, they have
yeah,
values,
yeah,
but either you feel the values or there is just something that is on the wall. But
yeah,
something that I think is important when I've seen the different leaders that I've been working with is when you can connect the company values with your own.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to
Yeah.
feel like this is a company that I feel is a good fit for me. You don't need to have exactly the same, but you need to find something in this that actually becomes authentic for you,
Yeah.
because that's when you can have a leadership that is, I mean, a healthy leadership, because then you don't come to work to play a role to fit into a model that a
Yeah.
company wants you to be in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then I think it's easier to actually not go in, come and burn out, because
Yeah.
you are more true to yourself. You have
Yeah.
that authentic leadership.
Yeah. I think that's brilliant. I totally agree with that, that when you're in line with the values is super important. And quite often when we talk about this value driven, what that means, and if we're not, I mean, maybe you don't need to know. I mean, a lot of people don't know their values, but definitely you feel when you're in the right place, because then your values are aligned, and you will definitely feel when something is said or done and when they're not aligned with your values, because you will feel it. You will embody that feeling. So I think that quite often you don't really need to know your values. It's good to explore that, but I've experienced that quite a lot of people don't, but they definitely know when something is just not aligned. And it's like, yeah, maybe we want to look at the values. And values, it's something you don't really, it's so founded in who you are. So then you need to look at another workplace, I would say, because you can't really, in general, it's harder to work with the values because they're like so deeply rooted in who we are in our like core. So today, would you think, with what happened, if you'd been given that dream role that you really wanted, do you think that you would have been doing what you're doing now? Because it's still a few years. Would you have sort of stepped out and just, or would you just kept on going and continued in your own patterns and habits?
I had the dream to have my own company
Yeah.
at a very young age.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been easy to me to be stuck in that role and just continue to perform for others. I needed something like that to happen for me
Yeah.
to actually back up and
Yeah.
see what is important for me. And I am very loyal when I'm in a workplace. I do so much more than I am hired for. And I have had that conversations many times that I wish that I could just go to work and do what I'm hired for and then go home and let go of work. But I have realized that that's not who I am, because if I see something that is wrong or something that I could
Mm.
help with, I
Yeah.
go in and do that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I left retail. I started to work in finance instead, because I thought that if I don't have any HR things, or I didn't have any stuff to work on and to work with, I had just my work. I could work with my computer. I had my papers. But then I came into an organization again that wasn't working well, and I can't be quiet. Just start to fix things. And that's when I realized again that I want to do that for a living. I want
Yeah.
to help people that has
Yeah.
problems, or I want to help
Mm.
organizations
Yeah.
when I see the potential. So it took 10 extra years, it felt like, before I actually took the step to start my own business. But that's also a little bit about imposter syndrome, when you feel like I have done all of this for so many years, but that's not the role that I had on my CV. So
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
when I got my ICF certificate,
Yeah.
and when I went that
Yeah.
course, I just felt like nothing of this is new for me. And I feel like this is my calling. And to have the possibility to actually work with people that want to develop, as the
Yeah.
ambitious, driven people
Yeah.
that come to you because
Mm.
they
Mm.
want to make a change.
Yeah.
I just love it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So what I hear is that you stayed longer in your, like the last two employments, to really get that experience to really find that courage and just build your resilience to really step outside of your comfort zone and just do and build your own business, your own life, and start to help other people. And I find that's just so inspirational that you really use your experience and use it into something good. Thank you for sharing that so openly and honestly. But Angelica, what is resilience to you? What does that mean to be resilient?
I would say there's both the awareness of yourself and what you want in life and what you want, and to speak your own truth, to stand for your own values, or to use your voice. And I would say awareness and authenticity is extremely important for me now. And when I look in to see how your being is, that awareness of what you need to work on, and I can look back and say that I wish that I had done so much different, but I can't change the
No.
past.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am where I am today because everything that I've been through. And it is very easy to think that if I had made that choice instead, and then you create a picture of how fantastic everything would have been, but you have no idea what you would have done the next day.
Yeah. So it's
So,
just really fabulating a story that don't exist,
yeah,
and instead
yeah.
embracing life as it is and what it has been like, and make the most of it. Yeah, I really like the authentic voice, and I think what I hear you say is that speak your truth, and it's also a bit of a courage and resilience to be
Hmm.
courageous to actually do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So thank you. And that wraps up our conversation on resilient voices. Thank you, Angelica, for sharing your journey about this leadership experience, or the lack of leadership from the organization you were working in, and how you turned that into a life lesson and a start of something new. So thank you for listening. And if you gained any insights today, just subscribe, leave a rating, share your episode with someone who needs it. You can follow on Instagram, on YouTube. This is a space for everyone who wants to learn about resilience in leadership and life. Join us next time for a new conversation about resilience in leadership and life. Yes, it will be a man next time. So that will be very exciting. And until then, stay safe and resilient.